Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Porsche Esports Supercup Regional Qualifiers, and welcome to Don Shula Drive, named after the most winning coach in NFL history with 328 wins, and of course, the only unbeaten season in all of NFL. At me, Patriots fans. Welcome to Miami International Autodrome, here as we get ourselves ready for racing action on moving day. Here for your action, knowing that there are just 2 rounds to go and 2 races to prove what you've got. I'm Jake Sperry, that's Joe Peak, alongside with me, Joe. This place is a modern treasure when it comes to racing, most known for Formula One being and getting itself around here, but when you put the Porsches around here, it is very much a challenge for these cup cars to go and get what they want.
Yeah, and it's not just here in the virtual world that we do get to see that. This is where the Carrera Cup in North America actually does race, joining Formula One for their race weekend each year. So the drivers who have their sights set on maybe someday reaching that real world seat could actually drive on this circuit someday.
They absolutely can, and you also could have the opportunity in the future to do so, and that pathway is presented here with this video that understands and highlights where we're going.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are two ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
Well, I argue it should be, and this should be something that everyone looks to aspire to. Last time out, we were at Watkins Glen, and this was a race that pretty much was all formed about the first stage of running. Turn 1 made everything all tick. The way, Joe, that a Gustavo Ariel had to fend off 2 of the Coanda cars behind, it was a very aggressive start for his race, but it settled down into pack racing quite quickly.
Which is pretty typical for this track. You can tell there's still always the problems going through the inner loop that tend to plague a lot of drivers. But yeah, getting up in those packs is one thing, but then passing was another. As you can see, it was hard to get close enough. And once you did get side by side, then it was a game of chicken coming up the hill into that inner loop where you really did not want to be going too wide through there. From there on out, the drivers mostly had to worry about the curbs around here, something that we saw a lot of with the drivers winding up, getting some air in some cases.
Yeah, and they really had to push, but one thing was clear: Xander Reed was not going to sit back and be idle out there in the battle. There you can see Noah Wing bouncing about like nobody's business, trying to get that sorted, but critically, Xander Reed getting the job done, and an all-important victory that now means he only needs to score 8 points tonight to book his place into the Porsche Esports Super Cup proper. That is the equivalent of being second in qualifying or scoring yourself a finish of 18th place or higher. The bubble sits at 5 points between Dino Filippa and Gabriel Moretto here, with the top 5, Joe, all having 3 top 8 finishes this season apiece. That's 15 for 15.
We always say consistency wins championships, and in this case, consistency keeps you above the cut line. I think it's Costa, Torlashi, Filippa, all 4 of them really need to be concerned, because there's this race and then one more at Interlagos, and considering it's 50 points worth for a win, they are very much in danger with those scant 13 points up to Costa down to the cut line.
And you consider drivers like Fidel Moreira and Ralph Benitez, they are going to be some of those who are saying, look, we want to be in and onto position for it. But Joe, I think one of the keys here of the championship, look at your top 3 out there overall, what they're doing. It is windy at the top for Coanda.
And we're not surprised at that. Coanda has long been one of the teams to beat. So we kind of expected this, not just because of their history, but because of their performance in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America Esports Series. So they had similarly good results, at times locking out the top 3. Didn't get to do it as many times as you would have expected, but with so much talent up at the top there, basically if someone has a bad day, there's almost always a teammate there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and this is a case where if you've got teammates, that's great, but you've got to get them in, and this is a case of needing to fight for your right to go and race, because it's 10 points splitting 4 drivers on the cut line. This is a critical race today.
Like I was saying earlier, the drivers do need to worry about their consistency. You can't have a bad day from here on out. Today and tomorrow is going to, or today and the next race, I should say, are going to be critical. If you are on that bubble, avoiding trouble, I think, is the big key to trying to come away above that cut line. That's really all that matters here, Jake, is if you're below that cut line, you're done for the season.
Now, it is going to be an interesting circuit in terms of battling, because when you drive it off the line, it's a downhill dip into the opening corner. So I think everyone's going to turn around and go, no heroics into turn one, please. We're all here for the safety rating.
Except there is no safety rating in this race, unfortunately, but there are points in order. Thankfully, it should offer some good passing opportunities, so it's not going to be like Watkins Glen, where if you don't have the track position off the line, you can still try and make it up. That said, it's that weird sort of, it's almost reminiscent of turn 7 and beyond at the hairpin at Sebring, where it goes right and then left and then right again. And that really pinches it up. That's why at the starts of these races, when everyone's eager to make up positions, you will see some pileups. You'll see drivers tripping over each other as they try to file in single file.
So that's going to be part of what we get an understanding of. And for today's running, let's take a look at your Loctite race analysis here. Half an hour on the clock from a standing start position. So they're not going to get any chance to warm their tyres up any more than they need to. There are no planned pit stops available, and the top 8 in this region are going to move on to World Championships here in the fall. It is a critical moment for them over the course of this season. And they'll also understand this Miami circuit, one of the newer ones on the iRacing calendar here, courtesy of your TDK track analysis.
Absolutely. Newer circuit, 19 turns. Very technical, but also very fast, this track, at about 3.36 miles, just about 5.5 kilometers for the metric folks out there. Only been around since May 2022, but has definitely made itself a staple. While Formula One is the perhaps most well-known series to race here, there are other series that do compete, such as Formula E, and I believe Ferrari Challenge also has races at this circuit. But most notably, we have the Carrera Cup that races at this circuit in real life. So looking forward to everybody next year when we come around in May once again to get to see all the wonderful stars of the Miami scene.
Yeah, and this is such an incredible place. It's a mecca for sport out there. And if you want to learn more about the Porsche Esports Supercup, you can scan that QR code for more information on what the series then will bring to you out there. Of course, it's the home of the Miami Dolphins. You've also got the Miami Open tennis courts that they drive along Honey Hill Drive straight on by. And that's really huge out there. Last American male to win there was John Isner there. And the last American female to win was back in 2024, and that goes to Danielle Collins. It was won by Arina Sabalenka the last 2 years. Let's take a look though at where we are and where we're going. We keep talking about it. Interlagos is that final round. And Joe, I keep on thinking that there are drivers there like Ralph Benitez, like Eric Goldner, who are outside the bubble, who look at Interlagos and go, that's my home track. I could have pace to get myself in with a good day today.
There's familiarity. There's also a sense of pride involved in it. So I agree with you that with the amount of Brazilian drivers that we have competing in this, they're going to be extra motivated to try and do well down in Interlagos if they don't manage to do it here today.
Absolutely, and they will know now that they have got to get themselves ready, because your pole lap here, presented by TDK, goes the way of the #1 driver in this race, Mitchell de Jong, getting that one all sorted as he looks to gear his lap up. On the brakes then into turn #1, a very tight right-hand bend, opens up more than you think, but you've got to make it happen. The Temakula kid getting it all done through turn 3, and now looking to set up this run here through towards turns 4, 5, and then the 6, 7 loop that comes on next. So you work hard here through the left at 4. You've got to try and get it back over its paint here at turn 5, and now you're into turn 6. Then you're looking for turn 7. You take this big wide line, Joe, because you're trying to open up the run. here through 7 and 8 onto this long, winding backstretch.
It's so counterintuitive heading into that corner at 7 and 8 just because of how wide you have to take it on the entry. But you can see why, because yes, it's not completely straight heading down tier to 11, but it is flat out. You are not lifting off the throttle, and this is one of the best passing spots on the track into turn 11. But you got to be careful because you have the little stadium section here through 12 and 13. It quickly turns back in on itself, and if you don't get the pass done, you can still have the inside for that long right-hander. Then, of course, the notorious chicane, one of the few places where you've got elevation change, very blind through there, and immediately chucks you into turn 16. The other extremely important corner to get the run off of there. Much straighter down here, Jake, towards 17.
Absolutely. Having to deal with the Florida Turnpike section of the circuit is one of the toughest places out there, but as they race towards Northwest 26th Avenue, it's all a case of find your mark. 150 metres is the braking zone that Mitchell de Jong uses. He has to slow it up on a dime. Hard Rock Stadium there finds itself in view through the left, through the right of turn 19, and that is a lap, and it's not just any lap out there. That is a 1:55.444. That was almost 2/10 quicker than Sean Campbell, who is there in second with Hadi Nomamasi. That's two grid and go cars, second and third, with Xander Reed and Miguel Costa fourth and fifth. Miguel Costa missing last time out. Augustin Talashi for Thibaut Courtois Esports is sixth, with Elvis Rankin seventh, and Gustavo Ariel then in eighth for the Verstappen.com sim racing team. Gabriel Moretto's on the outside looking in the championship. He's technically on the outside looking in today. He starts ninth, with Dalton Zavadil fiercely forward in 10th. Francisco Camillo for Capivara is 11th, with the hardline driver Fidel Moreira at 12th. It's then Noah Wing and Ralph Benitez there for Veneziano. And then you've got Felipe Dantas ahead of Leandro Lanzendorf there in that 16th position. Flavio Dantas, the brother, is 17th, with Rodrigo Abreu in 18th place, ahead of Felipe Juliato and Luis Shermer. They make up your top 20. Daniel Molina for Rosso Esports is 21st, with Bruno De Carmo in the fastest G923 racing machine there in purple, 22nd position, with Nato Nascimento and Achilles Sianasis there in 24th, which leaves just the final two. Esteban Adriano there for the Sinister Race team, and then Dino Filippa, who was a non-qualifier for SDR Sim Racing, and Joe, that's the man on the bubble, but we will talk about that when this race continues on, because we're just about ready to take this start here from Miami. It's a fairly short run towards turn one. De Jong isolated then here in this one, with Campbell and Mamasi looking to prove what they've got. We've got 30 minutes on the clock. Let's get ourselves ready, because we are underway. Slow start by Sean Campbell. He'll immediately have to cover Xander Reed, who's going to have to try and thread the gap. What a start by Mitchell de Jong. Everybody just about gets away. Okay, as they now look to chuck it in. There's contact already as they go through. Round goes Gustavo Ariel.
Oh, right at the beginning, that sends him to the very back of the pack, and there's no full course cautions to bring you back in. Another driver spinning a little bit farther back. That looks to be Leandro Lasendorf.
Yeah, Lanzendorf then really struggling. He's got to get himself up to speed, and this will correct the chain reaction. They're about fanning 3 or 4 wide into the opening corner, and Mitchell de Jong has bolted out there trying to get a gap early. Other drivers may be thinking about tyre preservation today. This is a higher wear circuit, Joe, and get this in terms of temperature. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it's 49 degrees right now at 3:30 in the afternoon in Sim.
121 Fahrenheit. It's actually gone down a few degrees compared to practice earlier, but that's still mighty hot. So you do have to watch out for the tires underneath these cars. Make sure that you don't use them up too quickly, or else you're going to be suffering late in the race. I think de Jong using them now might be a smart idea, because like you were saying, breaking the toe from those behind could be critical for him not having to fight too many cars towards the end.
And they have to jump here. Oh, Moretto back there in the background having a little bit of a massive jump. And oh, contact, massive contact down then at the chicane. First time we've seen that, that's huge. Then as far as they all go, and they have had to scatter the best they can. Bruno De Carmo is going to be out of the race then after the hit, but that just shows you how tough of a race this is going to be today. This is wheat from chaff. There was already contact with Achilles Giannis earlier on through, and then Dino Filippa involved, the man who is currently the gatekeeper to the bubble.
Yeah, I was going to say Dino already had some problems going into this one because of the qualifying, but now he has to worry about potential penalties afterwards if he's found at fault for that one. As we watch the three of Sean Campbell bad off the line, and he's suffering for it. He has fallen from the front row down to fifth.
And Filippa's just put it in the pits, and I think he's out. So there's another driver then who is in a position. This is a huge free kick to Hadinoa Mamasi, who's second in the second in this race, wanting to get into top 8 in the championship. That's exactly what he needed. Young Lees, Mamasi second. Our focus on Sean Campbell, who has not had the best start in the world. He's in 5th place at the moment and trying to work his way up through the order. I have known a good friend of mine, Scott Rankin, Joe, who has actually been spotter for Sean Campbell out there, and he said to me, Sean is the sort of person who does not want you to stop talking in his ears. He goes quicker and quicker if you do.
I cannot relate on that one. I need to focus if I am driving in the sim, but I've watched Sean Campbell race for a lot of years. Is absolutely incredible when he gets his nose to the grindstone. And we've had a lot of incidents, so let's take a look at some of them up to this point. I believe this is the turn 1 incident that kind of kicked things all off. We had a driver facing backwards right at the beginning, and what happens here happens pretty commonly at most first corners, where someone tries to get their nose end down at the bottom, finds themselves cut off, and then from there you're just kind of spun around. In fact, you can see if you get lucky with banging doors and still get away with it.
You can. I'm not sure if it was Noah Wing or not. It might have even been Ralph Benitez who was trying to sneak his nose in there, get his way through with the contact that was available. But it was a very nasty bit of contact. Dalton Tabadil into Gustavo Ariel. And Ariel down the order now is also on the recovery. He's currently down in 22nd place and looking at only a handful of points, maybe 4 points out of today. That's not going to be what the doctor ordered if you want to guarantee your spot. And we talk about how important it is to remain consistent. Our focus then with the Thibaut Courtois Esports driver Augustin Tolashi here behind Sean Campbell, but ahead of Elvis Rankin, who has had a quiet race. He started 7th, he is 7th into 4 and 5.
Yeah, Ariel is in the pits with a meatball flag, unfortunately, so he is definitely going to wind up well down the order unless there's a lot of attrition, which, I mean, based on what we've seen both in the past and here today, I don't think that's completely out of the cards, as some of the drivers really getting right up against that barrier there. Sean Campbell is still in the thick of this fight. Torlashi and Rankin right behind him.
Yeah, they're all searching about for it. They all know how important these moves are going to be. 5 minutes of the 30 have already come and gone. And so now they jam on the brakes here into what is known by the stands as the beach section. Then on this circuit, the other side of the circuit is known as the marina section if you go by the stand names here. But we'll take a little replay look then and see exactly what happens on the bottom. So this is pushing about here with the likes of De Carmo and Achilles Giannis here. So they just try and give each other enough room. There's already a hit in the back, and then Filippa here, he just gets a hit there. He just gets into the side, and then pretty much from here, it's Captain Crunch's oops all accident all the way down.
Yeah, De Carmo, I have to say, a little bit of an innocent victim in that one. I don't blame them for not realizing that Filippo was going to suddenly be at that apex. And then to top it off, he gives him that huge second hit that put him out of this race. So a number of drivers, before we even get to complete a lap, basically DNF this one.
Yeah, Luis Schirmer is another name that is down on pit lane as things stand at this moment in time. So his day pretty much written off as well. So everybody is understanding just how tough today is going to be. Our focus here still on that 4th, that 5th and that 6th place. Sorry, that 5th, that 6th and 7th place battle out there with 2nd, 3rd and 4th. directly in front of them as well. Just as exciting at this point, but the key here is we focus on Tolashi for the moment. There on the bottom of your screen is that battle on top. Mamasi, the one under pressure here. Xander Reed doing just what Xander Reed does, applying pressure.
Yeah, we've seen that from him a lot over the course of this year. Now, last time out, he was able to pull away and be up at the front. Let's see what he can do, having to try and fight his way forward, because Mamasi, like you said, separating himself from his teammate. He's going to give a big look to the inside down at turn 11. Mamasi does not fight it too hard. In fact, he cuts back across, but he's going to be on the wrong side of the circuit here around turn 12, which is a right-hander.
That's a good move, and that's an astute move there by Xander Reed. Realised the opportunity and understand 1.7 seconds. I can't afford to let them run away too much more. So that is what we would call a standard overtake here around this circuit. He's managed that one in possibly the easiest place you can to go and make that move. But can you stand on song and ceremony chasing down your teammate? He's got no reason to do so, because as far as things stand, with drivers currently out in his qualifying position of 4th place, scoring him 4 points, he only needs 4 more points, Joe, to make it. And as far as I can see, with at least 4 cars out of the race, 5 cars a lap down, Xander Reed's booked his ticket.
Mamasi with a big cloud of the wall there coming out of turn 17. Got to be careful, because you don't want to damage the suspension on these cars. The aero bit's definitely important with a lot of high speed you hit around here, but more than that, you do not want an ill-handling car. There's few places to relax over the lap.
Good move back there as well from Elvis Rankin. He's got through at turn 1 over Augustine Tolashi. This is 12th place on the bottom of your screen. This is Dalton Zavadil and Ralph Benitez, 2 drivers who take 2 good looks at Dino Filippa, Joe, and Gustavo Ariel. They turn around and go, ooh, we could have a way to sneak in now.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if they're really watching exactly where Filippa is, or if they've garnered onto the fact that he's effectively out of this race, but you do want to try and get the best results you can with the situation you have, and that's what they're doing right now. They're just focusing on what's in front of them. You take it 1 corner at a time.
Absolutely, it is the way to go about business here. Don't do anything silly. Look to book your place. Someone like Miguel Costa, for example, is personifying that brilliantly here on the back of this 2nd place battle. No moves offered on the bottom of your screen there in 12th place, working through 11 into 12. Then the long right and over through underneath the Florida Turnpike they will go. And now looking to push back along this run from 16 over to turn 17 once again. Miguel Costa happy to sit down, but Hadino Mamasi here, I think, is just playing this quiet game and doing a good job. Remember, they have to try and figure out what is going to be my best game long term out there, and how many points do I want heading to Interlagos, a circuit where 2 wide is possible at every single corner, Joe.
And Costa's definitely putting on some pressure with this whole situation. So Mamasi, like I was saying, he needs to focus forward here. He cannot let Miguel's pace really get to him. He's already lost 1 position, but as long as you hit your marks, you should be somewhat difficult to overtake. There are chances if someone gets a slipstream, but it's not as strong as it used to be. So Miguel Costa definitely in with a shout, but he's going to have some hard work to do. And to top it all off, Xander Reed has not completely ran away, so he also has to make sure that he can't make any errors in these final 20 minutes.
If there's anybody qualified to drive this circuit, it's Miguel Costa here, Joe, because he's from Miami, Florida.
Yeah. And hopefully he's had a chance to go see it in person. Like I said, a number of events that do happen here now at this stage, so they've utilized this for more than just Formula One showing up once a year. As we follow him down the back straight, this really should show you how little the slipstream is in comparison to years past. It was nerfed a bit, and that definitely makes the drivers work harder to try and make those overtakes. Now watch these curbs as well. You mentioned how some of them are completely flat, like we see here in 12. You do not have that up through the chicane. You don't want to cut this one short, and he just, oh, actually he really goes over the top of it. It looks like he straight lined it underneath the car at the tallest point just right.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that he takes as little tyre over the top and drives. Well, look at that bounce and travel from Francisco Camillo here. Fidel Moreira has a little look behind, but the gap has opened out. But that just illustrates to you, Joe, that if you get it slightly wrong, you're going to be unsettled for at least to the next corner.
I mean, remember the slow-mo that we saw at Watkins Glen going through the inner loop. Same problem here. You want to keep the car as planted as possible. So yeah, some of those points where you get those bumps, this is definitely smoother than most street tracks since it is in a parking lot for the most part. So you can get away with it, but there's a few areas where you just have to be very cognizant of the race line and not stray off of it.
There you can see through 2, in through the long turn 3, look to get the drive away off the exit stadium on the left of your screen right now, working into turns 4 and 5, left-hander, big throw at about 170 kilometers an hour, jam on the brakes to 130, then you've got the next section up to 165, but then back on the brakes again, that travel down to all the way to 90 kilometers an hour for putting the power back down off the exit. You're looking for one single motion through there of stamping down the foot on the throttle. Any sort of wheel rotation, Joe, that you have to connect, it's going to be trouble out there overall. Now let's take a little look on the bottom of your screen here for exactly where we are, because we're going to go to Gustavo Ariel. He is a mile back down the order. Look at the damage on the front here and how much he's had to worry, Joe, because he has had a really tough day at the office and he's looking for any and all points, which started right at turn 1 there with that turnaround.
And remember what I said about not hitting your suspension. That's exactly where he got clouded. And then it looks like more trouble later on in the lap where he damaged the aero, the nose on the car, which doesn't seem completely fixed yet. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize how many problems he had on the first lap. So that's 3 separate incidents that he was involved in. And I gotta say, at least on the first one, I wouldn't really put that on him.
No, it definitely wasn't his fault for the first one. He was just there and unfortunately wrong place, wrong time. By the time he gets to the second incident and the third incident there, I think the head's just gone and realising I'm not going to get much out of today, that much. We do know at this point in time because he is still currently piloting around here. He's 3 laps down in 22nd and he's looking for 4 championship points to try and keep his hopes alive. That's the only thing he can rely on admirably at this point. Working though hard at this stage of the race. Another case of a pass being made by Elvis Rankin. This time it was on Sean Campbell that he's got it done as we go to Zander Reed in second place, looking to chuck it through. The move for Elvis Rankin, well, you guessed it, turn 12.
So as we follow on board, ooh, that is quite wide there. Now that might be an incident point, and these drivers do have a limit on their incident points. It is a difficulty at this track, having too many off tracks, because you will be given a penalty. So it's something I was considering a little bit earlier. Who uses it up too early and finds themselves in a bad position where they can't risk those corners being a little bit too far gone in the brakes late in the race?
Joe, with the stop-start nature that we saw for the field at the back on the opening lap, it's not impossible to say someone's got 12 incident points from the first lap alone.
Absolutely, and that's the other problem that you've got. It is when it is so elbows out in any of the Porsche Cup racing here on iRacing, especially at the top level like this, as we see the replay with the overtake on Rankin, or for Rankin rather, as he gets another position. But yeah, it's almost like stock car racing on the oval side. You have to be comfortable racing close, and that's going to mean from time to time you get those 4 X's for incident for contact, and that's just the nature of the beast.
It is that nature of the beast, and we see that time and again how important it is just to keep a calm head and give yourself room. It's almost like you have to give yourself time to say, okay, I need to recompartmentalize and get myself back into this race and get into that winning mindset if you can. Reed, Memasi and Costa then all together, second, third and fourth, and 2 seconds off the back of your race leader as they cross the line last. So they're looking at Mitchell de Jong here. Half a race gone. Mitchell with clean air to go and work with. Zander Reed just doing what he needs to do in this second position, book his place and just take the point and go for it, because he knows that at the end of the day here, Joe, It doesn't matter if you're first in this championship or you're eighth in this championship. If you've got a ticket, you are in.
Exactly. And like I mentioned early on, I think Mitchell is playing this one to perfection. The gap at just about 2 seconds means he's well out of their slipstream. I get the sense that he's probably just managing it. He's still pushing, mind you, because these drivers don't know how to do things halfway. But the fact that they are not able to get up with him and be on the attack means that he can really focus on his own races. Now we check out the battle for ninth between Wing and Camilo.
Francisco Camilo wanting to find a way by Noah Wing. Look how tight they all go there. They're by the lovely complimentary boxes there on the inside. Then they just get shadowed by it. Over underneath the turnpike they go. And now out of turn 16, they've now got to get the charge on. Off of the exit, climb the access out of the exit, and then just say, look, this is how good I can stamp my power down. That is a really good drive away there by Noah Wing. And Camilo, I think, is going to have to come from a long way back to go and make this move over down at the hairpin. He's not going to be close enough right now to make that happen, so he's going to have to stay in line and be patient.
Oh, he does get awful close down at the apex, I have to admit. But I'm with you. I agreed that he was just too far back to try anything into there. Now, this could be another story coming down to turn one. He's a little bit closer. Again, it'll be quite a dive if he tries it, but we've seen he's very good on the brakes, and no, he's not even going to move out of line quite yet. So he's still setting himself up. Once you reach this level of racing on iRacing against these sorts of drivers, you really need a lap or a couple laps to try and set up the pass to get within touching distance.
The man from Cerezo, or the kid from Cerezo out there, he's just finished high school. Out there has Francisco Camilo in that 10th place, and he wants to challenge Noah Wing, and that's not going to help him the way that he's just jammed on the brakes there. That indicates to me slow down penalty.
It could be. That's another thing that you can get, especially through that S's section down through 3, 4, 5, and 6 with the flat curves. If you move just a centimeter too far to the left or right, suddenly the sim will give you that automatic slowdown to give the time back for cutting the course. So it's a knife's edge. You can't give up that time because you're trying to straight line those as much as possible. But at the same time, you don't want to just overstep that boundary because the penalty is harsh.
Oh, it is harsh, it is steep, it's severe, and you do not want to be the one who sees cars going by. Look at how much they're having to take as much they can out of the circuit. Again, Augustin Talashi pushing hard there for the Thibaut Courtois Esports team. He's really having to give everything at TC Esports to say, look, Sean Campbell, I'm going to give you something to think about. Sean Campbell does know what to think about out there in terms of his running. He's won a race here, by the way, Joe, in the past this year, in the Oscar Piastri Challenge race. He won here at this circuit.
Yeah, Terlashi definitely looking a little bit ragged there, as this time able to be closer. It looks like Camilo managed to overtake Zavadil for that 11th spot. Just barely, because suddenly that 19 is right back on top of him. Does he try to defend coming down to the braking of 1? No, he's going to leave the door open, and he doesn't need to defend, as it looks like Zavadil is not going to be able to get by.
Not yet. He tried it there, but wasn't close enough to making that move. But the group here of Moreira and Camilo and Zavadil and Benitez, all 4 of these drivers are candidates, Joe, of outside looking in. They can stay in line as much as they want, but I think there needs to be an element of one-upmanship from this group. If I was a spotter for any of these drivers, I'd say, look, it's great that you're getting the points that you're getting right now with 2 drivers out, but you're up against drivers in and around who you are fighting for those tickets in. Be ruthless.
Yeah, there's 2 kind of metrics that you have to think about. Inside the top 8, yes, relatively safe there. Even safer, look at who is ahead of you in points or who is behind you in points. You want to finish ahead of them. Those are the main rivals. Someone who's up at the very top, like your Xander Reeds, you know, they're already up at the front of the points. You don't need to worry about them as much. You just need to worry about the ones that could take your spot.
That's the key. It's not a case of can you beat everyone, it's can you beat who you need to. Up into the turnpike once again, and look at this as they look to jump. It's Camilo who's going to have to be the one that shows aggression, but he takes far too much curve there on the inside. Can't keep the inside settled. It means so he has to wait to apply the power as he waits for 4 contact patches on the floor. Fall to the floor makes a great beat.
It does, but in this case, it makes for a better straightaway, which is really the key. That's why we keep talking about this. Anybody who gets that better jump off the corner is just going to be gaining on you hand over fist with no effort. It's always fun to try and get time in the corners, but to be able to do it down the straight as we get contact there with the 16. That's Dantas, Flavio Dantas, who finds himself a little bit rough there with his fellow competitor.
Well, Rodrigo Abreu turned around, looked at that and went, I'm having it, but is this a case of I'll go and get it back? Flavio Dantas there tries to go for it, and it's not quite enough. That was bold and brave, and yeah, there's a bit of contact, but these are tin tops. They are very much here, these Porsche Cup cars, built for a little bit of contact. Not a lot, but a little bit of contact. To me, that is the style of racing that you've got. It's a little over the mark, but that is possibly the best pass we've seen all day.
Rubbin is racing, but at least some of the times the stewards are watching on this, so you do have to be careful not to get yourself some penalties, as we've seen some drivers do this season and find themselves even in negative points. So yeah, as we take another look at this one, I don't know, that was a little bit on edge. I think Abreu had presented himself, but he probably could have slowed it down a little bit more because he did wash out slightly.
At the same time, he did get half a car alongside. I think he's entitled to that space. So I think that is going to be, if you were a racing steward, that's a racing incident there, no doubt about it in my mind. But Abreu gets himself another place. He might raise one of his brows at Flavio Dantas turning in like that, but I think he'll be quite happy at the way that he's been settling about then as far as it goes. Already down to 7 minutes left here in this race, and it has all been about who settles in and gets what out of this stage. They are eyeing up everybody's moves here and saying, look, I want what everyone else has. And it has broken up into this race, Joe, of, okay, you've got 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 drivers to think about, but no more than that. This isn't a pack-style race. This has been bitty and gritty.
The one that surprises me the most is this man, Sean Campbell, in the number 3, just ahead of Torlashi, his teammate. Again, Sean qualifying on the front row. He's raced here before with the Carrera Cup Esports Series. I expected maybe just a little bit more pace out of him. Not sure if the setup just doesn't like the high temperatures that we've got or what it is. Speaking of which, those have come down. It's down to 114 Fahrenheit now.
I think Flavio Dantas has just made your move of the race here. I think he has absolutely put something brilliant in as Sean Campbell now works through. I think we are staring down the moment of your Trilux move of the race, and we will need a look at it. But Campbell here, currently in 6th place. -4 today. That's not the Sean Campbell we know. I think he's just been wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at on that. Just highly unusual to see him struggle this much at a track he seems to typically do well in. Elvis Rankin, not that far ahead, to his credit. So the Coanda car is within reach if he could just get close enough to try and make a strike, get one of those spots back. But as we watch them come onto the back straightaway, I went and looked at what you were talking about with Flavio Dantas, and he's feeling feisty today, I have to say.
Still is. He's just been shoved out by Rodrigo Abreu. Those two are having a dogfight at the moment off camera. But for the moment here, Sean Campbell happy with where he is, and Abreu has come out ahead in that one, but he's not really got as much of the drive as he wants. And I think if Flavio Dantas has another lap, he'll be back there. And I'll have to worry about Leandro Landendorf, who could be finding his way back to these two if they're not careful.
Yeah, this Abreu sandwich is becoming a bit more of a knuckle sandwich, the way the fighting has been going on track. He's got the other Dantas brother on the other side, yeah.
I'm just taking a look. Fidel Moreira has just lost the place here to Francisco Camilo as we focus here with them going through the final couple of corners. So there are moves aplenty happening here, and Francisco Camilo at 17 finds out just how tough it is to get it into the corner, because you got to wait for the car inside to turn, and it is so tight down at the hairpin.
Dalton Zavadil in this group as well, and Ralph Benitez not that far behind him. Essentially a little 4-car pack that is formed up with 4 minutes left to go. We're just shy of 2 minutes per lap, so the time is very much running out.
Yeah, they're out of time. Zavadil takes a big low line, then gets late up to the high side of the circuit to try and gather it back. And now looking for that drive. It's a bit better from Fidel Moreira as he now looks to try and drive it underneath the cable cart. Then, and really trying to charge on forward. The driver, Francisco Camillo, in the number 7, has driven this one away. But Zavadil now gets a good run, thinks about the inside, postures for it. Does he get overlap here as he turns in? No, not quite. Has to lift out of it. Doesn't get the corner he wants, and now sat behind here for this very technical turnpike.
Fidel confident and trusting in his spotters, just that they said clear. They didn't mention a car to the inside. That means he's going to the apex, and that's kind of how you have to be in this series. No quarter asked nor given amongst them. Off of the exit of 16, Zavadil looked like he struggled just a little bit, but he's going to start picking up here down the back straight. Now it's a question of how brave on the brakes does he want to be, and Moreira, I think, is showing quite a bit of damage on the nose, so he's going to be hurting for the top-end speed.
Yeah, top-end speed is everything here, and Dalton Zavadil, I think, knows and understands it here. Big wide line taken in front by Francisco Camillo, but for the moment, Dalton Zavadil giving himself absolutely every chance here to say, look, I've got 11th in my sights, and I want to take it here. They've got 2 laps to figure this out between them, and here on the brakes into turn 1, look at that dip into turn 1. It makes braking so tough. It reminds me a lot shallower of a 10A, 10B at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It is definitely a very tricky one to try and make happen, but as we watch them come around into that S's section and then swing wide around once they get into 6 and 7, it's once again going to be all about trying to get that throttle down off this corner. Let's ride on board here with Ralph, watching to see who gets their foot to the floor the best. Little bit, just tiny bit off the apex by Zavadil.
Yeah, Ralph Benitez then gives a little adjustment in his seat, realises, okay, settle down, follow the line. Look how close they've got to try and put it to the wall here through each and every single section. You've got to try and find what Ayrton Senna would call flow state out there, what he was able to find at Monaco. Again, Zavadil shows the nose at the inside, doesn't offer anything, hoping for the mistake. Something that you would see, say, for example, from Lewis Hamilton, that sort of move.
Yeah, just kind of get the nose in there, see if you could get them off of their line. Racing is so much of a psychological sport, and seeing who has the wherewithal to withstand those sort of pokes and prods. And so far, right up against the wall. You talked about how close they get it, but Benitez finds himself just keeping from rubbing his paint off the right-hand side. Will we get another go? I'm going to predict no here from Dalton because he looks a little bit farther away than last lap.
Yeah, so I think if he wants to go for it, he's going to have to be brave, and he'll only have 1 lap to go because Mitchell de Jong has taken the white flag lap, and he is now looking to try and showcase what he is all about. This is going to be one where Dalton Zavadil now needs to find this move. This is going to be crucial for points here if he wants to pick up a couple more that says, right, how important is this swing for me and my aspirations to get to top 8 in this championship. Working hard then through turn 3, knowing that 4 comes along next, and it is an almighty sweep through this section that you've got to get correct. Yes, there is damage on the front splitter for Fidel Moreira, but he's still managing this. He's still holding his ground, and it's not really too much that Dalton Zavadil can do to close this gap down, as he knows he's got to get the run here out of turn 8, and he's now behind by about 4 car lengths as he looks to exit this section. I don't think he's got anything to offer in terms of a move here on the final lap, and that is going to be a real shame for him and what he feels like he's capable of doing. The lead is completely disintegrated here as Reed can't hold Mamasi, can't hold de Jong, who can't hold Mamasi, who can't hold Costa, who can't hold Rankin. It's been that sort of day where the pace and the heat has taken its toll, and standing on song, how fitting it is with Gustavo Ariel directly in front, the tale of 2 drivers, 2 legendary sim racing drivers, between I've got it or I've not. Ariel wants an early exit out there. He'll take an ice cold bath, and he he will say, I need a big wake-up call going to his home race of Interlagos, but it is generational from Mitchell de Jong, and here at Hard Rock at Miami, he says, it's good! De Jong wins at Miami!
Xander Reed probably having the happiest second place he's ever had, because that pretty much punches his ticket as we watch these two carry on once again. Dantas and Lanzendorf going side by side down into 17. They're going to come together a little bit and they'll get away with it. Thankfully, they will both be pointed the right way at the finish line, but very nearly took each other out with 2 corners to go.
It could have been massive, it could have been mega, and look at it here. They're all spinning about here. This is your Mobil 1 winning moment.
Oh, fantastic stuff here from Mitchell de Jong. And yeah, they are celebrating because they know this pretty much means they are in for the big show. So some drifting efforts as they go through some of the back and forth sections of this track. You don't need those tires anymore, and they're already slick as hell because of the heat, so it's probably a little easier to drift now.
I think they've got a little bit too much traction out there, so they're not getting enough angle, so they'll lose commitment points on that one, unfortunately. Not hitting the clip zones either. I'm sorry, I'm a drift commentator by trade. I have to mention it. But what a day. Your Trilux move of the race, though, here as we will take a look. And this is busy in the middle. Watch this for avoiding action then. The bright red Rosso machine is our focus out there, and this is why you've got to be careful here. This is tough for Daniel Molina. So he gets initial contacts, he goes through. Now he's got to watch behind, because there's the hit from behind. There's the one incident. Now you've got to try and climb up the hill. Bang, there's another. And you have got to be so switched on. He's there ducking with a tin pot on his head going, look out, help, get me out of here.
And on top of it all, probably got a little bit of a slowdown penalty as parts are flying off of cars at him on top of things. But my goodness, like you said, keeping a cool head exactly when it mattered.
Here's your race results. Mitchell de Jong getting it done for the second time this season, ahead of Xander Reed in second, with Hadi Nurmimasi. A crucial podium today to put the pressure on his rivals for a top 8 spot. Miguel Costa will take fourth, with Elvis Rankin fifth. Sean Campbell sixth, ahead of Augustin Talashi. Gabriel Moretto with a critical 8th place as Noah Wing and Francisco Camillo round out your top 10. Over the page, you see there Fidel Moreira and Dalton Zavadil, with Ralph Benitez watching on in 13th. Felipe Dantas and Flavio Dantas creating a brow sandwich there in 15th position, with Leandro Lanzendorf there creating a Dantas sandwich, 16th then for him. It's Daniel Molina in 18th there, the Bolivian, with Esteban Adriano and Neto Nascimento making up your top 20. And drama right to the end. Achilles Giannissis then first of the, or last of those on the lead lap. Gustavo Ariel then 4 down, along with Louis Schirmer, Felipe Juliato, Dino Filippa crucially, and Bruno De Carmo, all running into troubles in the opening lap of this race. And knowing that Miami has irrevocably changed the way that this championship now sits, it is a job of all jobs. It's a day of all days. It's a win of all wins. Joe Peak stood by with your winner, Mitchell de Jong.
Yes, Mitchell, we often find ourselves talking about the emotions of drivers after races, sometimes not in the best way, but in your case, is there a sense of relief after this one?
Absolutely. I mean, in a series like this, it is just always so risky, right? With the one-shot quali and, you know, how much we push the track limits here over curbs and stuff, it's you can never get comfortable. So I'm, yeah, definitely relieved is a good word. Happy to get that. It was a really good performance, I would say, like, from that race. So super happy, good team result as well. And yeah, really pleased with this one.
Talk to me about the start. We noticed that you were seeming to pull a little bit of a gap on the first lap. Was that intentional to keep anybody from getting a slipstream on you later in the race?
I was actually really surprised with the gap that I had after the first lap. You know, the slipstream isn't too strong, so, you know, it wasn't too critical, but obviously you want to do the best you can on that opening lap when the tires are cold and not really in the best shape, because you can make up a lot of time there. I still don't really know how it, ended up being that much. I don't know if they were battling or not, but I was really pleased to see that gap. And after that first lap, I actually turned off my relative and all my timing stuff, and I just drove, because at that point it's more about not clipping a wall, being confident with your driving, and kind of not really worrying about what the other people are doing and just settling into your pace. So thankfully it was, good through all that.
Well, that's really telling that you actually turned the relative off then. Do you see yourself taking it any easier, or is it still full push at Interlagos?
That'll be an interesting one, because I'm still not 100% sure if I'll be able to race that. So coming to this race and getting a result like this was super important. But yeah, we will have to see probably in the next coming week if I'll be there or at a real racetrack racing. So up in the air, but if I am there, then of course we're going to give it our all and try to go for another good result.
Well, again, congratulations on an impressive win, and we hope we do see it, but we understand if you have real racing to attend to.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That was Mitchell de Jong, your winner, followed home by Hadi Noah Mamasi. Hadi Noah, it looked like you couldn't quite keep up with Mitchell out there, but even still, you had to do some fighting to get into second. What was like that like out on the track? Were passes difficult or relatively decent?
Yeah, I think obviously lap one is I'd say it's the easiest to make overtakes. Obviously, everyone's really close together, but since the new tow draft model update, there's been a lot more dirty air added. So I think after lap one, there's sort of really hard to make an overtake because everyone is super close on pace.
And apologies, third place, of course, today. Now, talk about some of that fighting, because we noticed that it got a little bit elbows out at time. Is that something you as drivers in this series kind of mentally prepare yourself for and expect out on the track, that there's going to be a little bit of contact, or do you try and focus on making sure you don't have any rubbing with anybody door to door?
I think it's best that you always try focus that you just make no contact in the first place, because any slight contact, if it's just at the wrong angle, one of them or both of you could spin out and it could be race over. So I think I think everyone's just slightly a bit more careful when they're racing wheel to wheel. Leave a bit of extra space if needed, or if there's a corner that you don't really want to go too wide, and then one of them will back out. So.
You came into this above the cut line. I haven't seen the official points, but with the third place, I think it's safe to say you're probably still above that. How do you approach Interlagos points-wise, push-wise, with where you sit now after this race?
I think Interlagos, obviously, I'm just gonna, you don't need to try to be a hero in qualifying and screw up the job. So I think, just taking it quite safe, no need to over push anything or overdrive. Just, I think if I just get a top 5, it's more than enough. I'm not going to take any risks. There's not really a need.
I think that's understandable, especially considering your positioning. Still, excellent job today. Nice podium. Hopefully we'll talk to you again later.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.
Hadi Noah Mamasi finishing third today. P4 behind them was Miguel Costa. And as Miguel came home just outside of that podium, we saw you also fighting with drivers such as Sean Campbell out there and whatnot. When you go up against these big names, do you find yourself thinking about that at all, or are you still too focused on the driving to be swayed by some of the heavy hitters that you go up against?
I think it's quite challenging knowing who you're racing as well. You have to kind of be smart with those things, especially because I missed the last round as well, so I had to be quite smart with how I played the racing just to get the maximum amount of points possible, just to make sure it would be all fine for qualifying to the main series. But I think it's quite important, honestly, to know who you're racing and how you can race them. I think Sean as well was quite cautious, knowing that he's quite good in the points, so I think I knew I could maybe try to go for a move. I didn't honestly think I could get him, but the space was there, and he didn't really fight me too hard. So I also thank him for that.
You know, we made a big point earlier in the broadcast about all the Brazilians going to Interlagos, how that's going to be so important to them. What about you in Miami? Bit of a home track for you.
Yeah, I think honestly I've never driven this track before I started practicing for this, but right now as well I'm not at my home rig. I'm actually in Miami on vacation racing on my old rig, so it was quite a coincidence and it was quite funny as well. But honestly I enjoyed the track a lot, and I think it's become one of my new favorites now, especially after this result.
Well, I have to assume with Interlagos having been on the sim for a while that you have raced that one. Is that one you consider strong for you?
Yeah, I think Interlagos is one of my strong tracks, honestly. I think hopefully the pace will be hopefully a bit better than here to win there, but of course I'm happy with the result anyway, and on to the next one for sure.
All right. Again, congratulations on a nice top 5 today.
Thank you.
That was Miguel Costa with 4th. Jake?
Absolutely, and so now we set ourselves up and let's take a look at how they stack with Championship Saturday coming along. 8 points the margin for Talashi over Moretto. Hadina Mamasi is in. Gustavo Ariel with a very tentative wait, but 4 have booked their place, or 3 have at least booked their place, and there's a lot still to come here with running action. It is a case though of Mitchell Mania running amok over here at Miami. He knew exactly what he needed to do. Stay with us though with more action to come, because we'll be over with MEA in Okayama after this.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iRacing.com/special-events.
rocks you to the floor, waiting for an open door. The clock is ticking, make your move. Here's your signal, time to prove. Can you hear me now? 'Cause I'm shouting through the noise. Can you hear me now? It's time to make a choice. Break the chains and rush the gates. Hurry before it's too late.
Nestled deep in the mountains of Okayama Prefecture, it is the Okayama International Circuit that is next up on the docket of the Porsche Esports Super Cup for your MEA region. It is moving day today, and they are all looking to position themselves for best placement to get their championship on track or to prove exactly what is necessary. I'm Jake Sperry, that will be Joe Peak alongside with me for today's action. Joe, we're going to say this one so everyone understands. Okayama here in an iRacing term is one of the classics. It is one of the circuits that every sim racer should have a base knowledge of.
It's been on the sim for a long, long time, and like you said, it's part of the base content. So a lot of the road racers have been on it frequently, all the time, over the years. Various series use this, so it's going to be intimately familiar. To me, that means it's going to be hard to find an edge over your competitors at this track.
And, well, everyone's looking for an edge, not just in this field, but against everybody in all four regions. And this is how they look to qualify into the Porsche Esports Super Cup.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Super Cup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are two ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
Well, it could be, and what an incredible battle we were able to have over in Adelaide 2 weeks ago, Joe. This is what made everybody stand up on end and try and chuck it around the streets. Don't forget, and the streets will remember just how amazing the battling was.
Yeah, it became the rumble down under for these drivers. It was all over the place. But check out some of the avoiding action that they had to display as well, because we had some big accidents at certain points. They right, nope, left, and then just try and avoid the wall on top of things. Some were not so lucky, unfortunately, in their side-by-side battles, of which there were many, frankly, which you'd think with an 8-car field that you wouldn't have that much action. Nope, they delivered lap after lap out here. Here's one of those incidents that unfortunately saw drivers out of the race later on. Excuse me, that'll be a little later in this session. Now we've got the scenario going on where unfortunately the 4 just gets tipped around and that was it. But up at the front, it was basically a one-man show.
Well, it's been the same story 3 times over. Patrick Kessel has been an absolutely amazing driver out there. That's why he's on 178 points, and that's the reason why he finds himself ahead of Avesta Gabati, who's not here today, and Dylan Allen, who finds himself in third. You look down the order here, it's currently Oliver Heasley, who is on the bubble by 8 over Mehdi El Fati. So this is going to be a case of who is going to find their way in. Shivesh Bassoon will obviously as well be looking around going, can I get enough out there, as he's been the one closest fighting with Oliver Heasley over the course of this season. But there have been a few keys to how we've been going about business here, Joe. And so when we sit down and say, what is it that we say that wins championship? Well, it's defense out there, and the best defender out there has been Werner Skoman.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every single race he's been fighting with somebody and doing an incredible job at it as well. So have to give him credit. That's going to really come in handy once we get to the proper championship of the Porsche Esports Supercup. We'll talk about that in a bit. So I got to give him a lot of credit for the way that he has been not shying from going up against other competitors and even his teammates.
Yeah, he is not afraid of getting his elbows out with anybody out there in the world of sim racing. But this will be, for everyone, a home track for each and every single driver. And that understanding comes from what you do when you first jump into iRacing, and you reinforce that learning at a circuit that is actually perfect for teaching the mechanics of racing.
Exactly. You got a lot of different types of corners, a good bit of elevation change. This is a good introductory track. Not too long, not too short. And like I said, good for a wide variety of cars that the sim sees all compete on here. With these cars, I think the big struggle is going to be trying to make passes, which seems weird, you would think, because there's a lot of hairpins. But it's not that long of a straight in most of the cases leading into those hairpins. So really positioning yourself, and like you said, teaching you those basics of trying to outbrake somebody really come in handy here.
They absolutely do, and so we'll keep a very close eye on what makes the difference out there. Your Loctite race analysis then here, 30 minutes on the clock. A standing start. They will have to go aggressive then over to the first corner, and there are no planned pit stops available for these drivers. They have to make sure they get it through. Top 8 here, Joe, make their way through, and that's the key here. Just find the finishes and you are going to be A-OK, as we'll take a good look at what your TDK track analysis offers you here around Okayama.
Not a whole lot of corners, only 11 of them counted in about 2.3 miles. Opened in 1990. Did actually host Formula One for 2 years before. Now it's mostly local stuff such as Super GT and Super Formula League as well. Big key points to watch out for is going to be the exit out of turn 4 up the hill. That is where you got that big passing zone down into 5 at the hairpin, appropriately named. It's just going to be your best place to try and make those overtakes. All the others going to be a real struggle, but also watch out for turn 2 at Williams. That is off camber. It's going to be very easy to feel the car leave from underneath you or just understeer off into the gravel on the outside.
It's very, very easy to do, and many a sim racer has done that before, but they have the corners pretty much will jump up on you in the middle section. And a chance for you to say you can drive this circuit straight off the get-go with a brand new membership. Get on track with iRacing. QR code's there for you. It's 30% off for a brand new membership. I suggest you get yourself in and on for a fantastic deal right now by heading to iRacing.com/membership as we get ourselves ready for running. Now, Joe, as far as they go, yes, this is moving day. Okayama could not be more different to when we go to Cowes Victoria in 2 weeks' time, where Phillip Island hosts the finale.
Yeah, in fact, I think it's the same number of corners, but they're all sweepers and they're all incredibly tough out there. But also definitely sees more of a slipstream factor than this track does. So, like you said, Okayama, definitely a different one. But that's what I love about their track selection for this regional series is they've picked a good mix of different varieties of tracks while still keeping them all very iconic and well loved.
Yeah, it is a wonderful circuit. It's hosted Formula One twice and only ever had one driver win in 1994 and 1995. His name was Michael Schumacher. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him. He's an incredible talent out there in terms of the world, and I think still the greatest champion of all time. But it's going to be a case where these drivers are looking around and saying, okay, how do we set ourselves up? Because getting through the first two corners is okay. The first big test of the lap, in my view, is getting that hairpin correct.
I completely agree. I feel like making sure that you don't mess up your race into there, especially if you have an opportunity to overtake on the first lap, is going to be a big part. But let's not forget about the run down the hill through Piper and Revolver. Those are extremely tough and very narrow. This is a narrow track that we have to remember. So managing to go side by side is going to be a real test of their ability.
And so too was a test, this qualifying lap that's going to be brought to you courtesy of TDK. And setting up the run then most critically then as far as this one goes is Patrick Kessel, because he knows more than anybody else what he is more capable of out there. So he pushes through the opening corner out there. That is the first corner, aptly named, and then you're trying to fight. You're slightly off camber here through Williams to try and open up the corner, get up high on the curve and just let the car fall off to the curb on the outside. Now you're going through the Sterling Moss S and you go through the left, the right and then the left, sets up your braking zone, so you're having to turn and brake at the same time into the outward curve. From here, Joe, it's the run to the hairpin and a very busy middle sector.
Absolutely. This is your last chance to relax here coming down the back straight. There's a tiny little kink here leading up to it, so you got to make sure and pay attention to that. Set yourself up very wide, as you see Patrick did, down to the hairpin. A lot of banking through here. Plug the inside as much as you can. Now, I mentioned these two. Revolver is first. It's really deceiving on your way in there. You can see how narrow it is. And then Piper, the next one. There's not much runoff to the outside, so you have to make sure that you don't go too wide off to the outside there. Redmond and Hobbs is kind of a fiddly little back and forth hairpin, 180 degrees each side, but also a steep climb uphill here. So carrying your momentum can really come in handy. And then two right-handers to just wrap it up.
Yeah, and those two right-handers are Mike Knight's corner and then the final corner where you just got to get the drive off the exit, over the curbs and then over to the line. A 129.430, enough for the Cape Town native to go and get his pole position, and he does so, get this, by only 0.005 of a second. Dylan Allen gave him a red-hot go in the NL Racing number 2. Mehdi El Fati, who is on the outside looking in, he starts third today with Jack Johns in fourth. Werner Skoman then is in fifth for Panda City Esports, with Ruslan Hamidulin in sixth, with then Shivesh Bassoon seventh and Oliver Heasley there in eighth place at 1.3 seconds adrift. So they are going to have a lot to try and figure out then over the course of this running. Track conditions out then here today, it is body temperature out there, it's about 99 degrees Fahrenheit out there, 38 degrees Celsius, so it's still warm out there in terms of what a circuit brings, but they've got to be aggressive here in terms of understanding, okay, you can easily burn your tires, Joe, through the middle sector.
100%, and those faster corners such as Williams are going to chew them up very quickly. So take it easy through there. Try not to push it as hard. Hold on to them so that you can have that extra grip later in the race, and more importantly, extra grip off corner exits.
Absolutely, and they've got to be very much astute to it. We'll go through a little bit of history about this circuit coming up and why the corner names are named as such, but they will be a case of looking for what you need. They've got just under 30 seconds then before they go, and the tension will be palpable. The cars that are lined up in the odd-numbered positions then have the advantage of the rubbered in line to go and get their start. You're on the dirty side of the circuit if you're Dylan Allen, Jack Johns, Ruslan Hamidulin and Oliver Heasley, which means you've got to get across to the left-hand side as quickly as possible. This is a place that tests the very, very best out there. And what can these 8 do here at round 4 of 5 in the Porsche Esports Super Cup MEA Regionals here? It's going to be now lights on and lights out, and we get ourselves underway. Kessel does not get a good start. Mehdi Al-Fatih's got a stormer immediately across the cover the line, then goes as they go into the first corner. 3 wide it's going to be. It's Dylan Allen on the inside, and here comes the drive from Patrick Kessel, trying to work it off for the exit here. Good stuff from Jack Johns. He's up to third. Inside line for Kessel. Kessel's turn. Kessel's turn. Jack Johns leads.
And importantly, Dylan Allen loses multiple positions. He falls down to 4th. He's got work to do. Johns is going to have to go defensive up into Atwood. Al-Fatih trying to go the long way around, but you can often cut back underneath here and get a much better run, which is really what you want down this long straight.
What have we just witnessed there? The man who has been untouchable now finds himself with nothing, and he is out, and now it's going to be big stuff on the brakes. What a move down the inside there, or attempt by by Dylan Allen, sorry. Werner Schoeman up to 3rd there, so Schoeman having a really good run of things. John's leading, Al-Fatih 2nd, still fighting hard into the revolver. There is Schoeman, but he's looking for drive against Dylan Allen now. The Panda City machine is motoring right now. Gets himself to the inside of the next left-hander up the hill over at Redmond. Tries Hobbs, but's not going to get the line. What an aggressive opening lap.
Yeah, Allen absolutely sent it into the hairpin. He's very lucky everybody was heads up in that situation. He could have been a bowling ball. What I'm impressed about is that Al-Fatih is putting so much pressure on Johns here early on. This is about the farthest he's been away from him this entire lap, starting it from 4th on the grid. Now suddenly he finds himself P1 at the end of the first circuit.
Well, let's take a look on the bottom of your screen. Patrick Kessel, this I think has been an absolute disaster for him. He's gone immediately over to heavily cover after he didn't get the start of dreams that he was hoping for. Found himself in the middle 3 wide, and I think he's trying to assert his authority against Dylan Allen here. I think he's trying to say, look, I'm better than you and here's why. And Dylan Allen just holds his line, gave him the room, and said, look, you're washing out too much. It's the way the corner goes. I think Dylan Allen's done absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah, it looked to me from that angle that he had left enough space. It was obviously just about a car's width, but that's all you need to. And for, unfortunately, Kessel, he discovered how bad that understeer can be. Now, Al-Fatih had another go down into the hairpin. Once again, not successful. It seems like this is the part of the track where he's that little bit stronger than Johns. Unfortunately for him, it's almost always single file through this second half of the lap.
And that's going to be important to note, because if you can't get yourself a run to the inside, this final section of the circuit, almost a perfect, I won't say parody because this circuit came first here, Joe, but it almost reminds you of Barcelona, the final sector through there. It's almost exactly identical, the last 4 corners, but it's on a shortened down, shrunk variant. So it's very similar, and it's tough to pass even there at the best of times. Here, pretty much say there's not much there at all.
And it honestly makes me think of what used to be the old version of the Indianapolis road course. So here's how Johns went from 4th to 1st. He sees a 3 wide in front of him. Even at this point, he's probably already thinking, you know what, this could work in my favor if I just play my cards right. He's got 1 spot. He comes down across. He knows he's clear. He sees them get together, and suddenly it's home free.
Look at that. Absolutely perfect. All of his wishes that he has looked for in this championship coming together at once, and he's building margin now over Mehdi Al-Fatih. Werner Schoeman then in 3rd. Dylan Allen finds himself 4th. Then it's Ruslan Hamidulin in 5th with Shivesh Bassoon on the back. Oliver Heasley also trying to find range. They will jump through into the revolver corner out there on track, and then into Piper corner, named after David Piper out there, who debuted in 1954. He's a driver who came from the UK and was the 1955 Range Star Trophy winner, placing 3rd at the 1965 Sebring 12.
And then up through Hobbs here, this uphill named after a fellow that also kind of does what we does. Of course, David Hobbs, famous for his commentary, but was a driver before that. Schoeman, we ride on board with, running in the podium. We talked about the great season that he's been having. I wonder if this is his chance for a second, maybe even a win?
It's possible. The way he goes about business here, I think he's very much got the capability to do so. He wrestles a steering wheel out there, does Werner Skoman, and he knows that he is going to be gripping that wheel, I think, a little bit tighter, knowing that he has got a chance to go and grab a race win out there overall. They will be keeping their focus on El Fati and Jack Johns. Jack Johns, another one of us, Joe, who does it for the commentators.
He's doing it pretty well right now, representing. Good exit coming off of Atwood. Doesn't seem like El Fati is quite near enough. He's showing his nose a little bit. He's trying to remain in the mind of the number 4 driver, but he knows he's not going to be able to get it down here as they plunge back downhill.
Yeah, now into the revolver here. You just get chucked in through this corner. Jack Johns off focus with at the moment, and he knows right now, sat in his flat in the United Arab Emirates, he has got to be absolutely in the mixer trying to hold, because El Fati is right there. Then behind is Skoman, then Dylan Allen, who in my view has been one of the stars of this MEA region, the way he's gone about it. Mehdi El Fati knowing that he's got 2 schools of thoughts here, Joe. Go for the win or go for the point, and I don't think they're the same.
And more importantly, we haven't seen 2 of our competitors show up for pretty much most of these races. So for El Fati, he doesn't have to think about the points. I think if I'm in his situation, you know what, get some practice trying to be aggressive with the win. Try to be smart about it. You'd rather finish the race, but I think now is a perfect opportunity to train yourself for what is going to be so hard of fighting when you get to Supercup.
Well, he knows how much it takes to fight. He was important in terms of his role as a sporting director for RAG Esports. That used to be Roman Grosjean's esports team out there. So he knows what big teams take to get there. Now his role is just do it himself. The man from Marrakesh looking for his way to go and get there. But they find themselves in line. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Back to the hairpin corner. Once again, John's just lisking over under braking to cover off the line. It's not a case of I'm blocking. He's taking his natural line that also forms a defense.
Here's what fascinates me. We've been riding on board with Mehdi, but we've honestly got a conga line forming all the way back to Ruslan in 5th place. He's a little bit farther behind, but if we step off board here, the top 4 are all split by about 1 second.
Yeah, and that just tells you all you need to know. That's how they stood coming into today. Mehdi El Fati down by 8 on Oliver Heasley. He jumped Heasley, and I'm not sure he would jump Avesta Gabadi in this position, but this would be enough to move him into the cut line as far as it stands, which puts the pressure on Heasley and Bassoon, who are 6th and 7th in this race as it stands. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in a line as they all sit, with Ruslan Khamidlin then on the back giving a good old watch. They go through Williams corner, not named Joe after the F1 team of Williams, but more rather Williams corner named after Jonathan Williams.
That I actually did not know, so I'll have to make a mental note of that one as we watch the 8 continue to do what he can as they try to see if they can make a pass on Jack Johns, just to no avail. These 2 have been so close to getting involved. Shavesh Bassoon, as you mentioned, and Oliver Healy. They're right there. They've been in a lot of the camera shots. They just can't seem to get any closer to try and become a factor in this. And honestly, this is where you want to, because 4 cars all battling like we saw. When the fighting gets fierce, you need to be within range to try and pick up the pieces.
And they know that they're still in the early stages. Dylan Allen throws one. There's almost contact there as well between El Fati and Jack Johns, your race leader. So gets very, very chipper as they go into Redmond. They will drive out then of the next section of Hobbs. And now they realise, okay, we got to now set ourselves up then through Mike Knight and over towards that final corner out there on circuit. The gap opens up again, but Dylan Allen, I think, is tired of waiting here. Skoman, we know how good he defends. And Dylan Allen knows it, so he makes the move right down to the inside, looking to get it done. Skoman's not going to give it up, but he's got no choice. That might be your Trilux move of the race. What a pass!
Measured to perfection. He came from a long way back, but he just cleared him by the time that the car started to wash out on corner exit. That was critical, because remember, Dylan Allen started on the front row. by math, by performance in qualifying, he should be ahead of these two, and I think he was being held up by Skoman for much of this race. Now it's going to be a question mark on if he catches up to those two. Will it be a harder job overtaking, or can he do what he did just there?
Well, it's a case of how patient do you want to be at the hairpin. El Fati's got a great run here. He might have to go to the outside of the revolver. Is he trying to cut underneath? Doesn't get enough room there with the likes of Jack Johns. He really is trying to find everything. But Jack right now, he must have gotten to the Arno Trulli school of how to defend here, because nobody can find a way.
No, it's making it really tough for everybody, and he's now starting to give him the bumper a little bit. I think there's some frustration there, and I have to say that Medi just about timed that one to perfection in terms of positioning. About an inch farther back, he probably would have pulled a perfect undercut to try and get the inside down into Piper, but nice job by Jack Johns cutting down across and just blocking his momentum into the corner. But with that little fight, that means that Dylan Allen has caught up that ground that he needed very quickly.
Both of these drivers using a Formula steering wheel out there, Jack Johns and Mehdi El Fati here, as they've looked to put their focus into play. Calm needed at this moment, because they know that every lap could be a potential battleground with Dylan Allen on the scene now. Skirman hasn't gone away, neither has Hamidlin in 5th place. He's very much got a chance to try and prove what he is all about. They climb the rise over towards the hairpin, looking then from Dylan Allen right now. He's even got time to check his pulse, Joe.
Interesting.
Look at Fatty.
And that's a little too deep. He's not going to get a position. He's going to lose one. There is the danger of trying to send it too far.
That was bold, it was brave, it was decisive. He just could not get that slowed up. He's lucky he's not got in the gravel. From looking at first, he's now 3rd. And Joe, I think the key there for Mehdi El Fati is, if he wanted to win, he had to try something.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying early. You know, you might as well go for it. Yeah, he lost a spot, but credit to him. He measured it well, and he was given space by Jack Johns, who saw that one coming. So there's another one down for Dylan Allen. I'll be very impressed if Dylan manages to climb up and take this win. Yes, he did start with a little bit better qualifying time, but as we've seen, and as I said, this track is surprisingly hard to make passes at. I don't know what it is exactly. I think maybe it's a bit to do with the fact that there are so many hairpins. It means that it's kind of that stop-start, and it separates the cars a little bit. But whatever the case may be, if you do lose track position, it can be frustratingly tough to get it back. Oh, there's a big look.
A chance there, but it's just that chance. Oh, a mistake on the exit there for Jack Johns. Dylan Allen gets bottled up. Mehdi El Fati's going to have a monster run here, but he now falls into line because he can't quite get what he needs to here. They are going to fan along this straight, looking for the move down at the hairpin. Allen's going to try the outside. Now, if he can hold it there, he'll have the inside. For the next 3 left-handers, Jack Johns tries to run him out of road, just about manages it, and now look at it, they're going to be all over each other through the revolver and through the nets left of David Piper's.
Finally, they separate just a tiny little bit on the way up to Redmond. So no tries in it there, although a little bit of contact between teammates. That checks up everybody behind. El Fati has to watch out because Skoman nearly turns him around as well. And Hamidlin is now suddenly right on their tail. Bassoon might actually catch up to them. All of this fighting has suddenly meant that it has gone from a 4 to a 5 and maybe even a 6-car battle.
And dare I say it here, Shivesh Bassoon is desperate for anything that gives him more gap over Oliver Heasley, as he knows that. There is the look then of Dylan Allen as he goes through turn 1, and he has got the sense as he runs into 2 that he has got an almighty look. And look at the grin on his face. He knows he's racing.
Shake of the head. He's feeling a little bit of the frustration. He knows he could have been leading this race after turn 2, but him getting tangled up and now having to make all these passes has made life that much harder than it needed to be. But this is one of those moments where you have to keep your cool. If you're in his shoes, you have to just keep focusing on each and every moment that you have in the race, not what has happened behind you, but what you need to do each next step ahead.
Yeah, he's got half a race still to figure this out, to find the way into P1, and he might actually get it from the run from Revolver here. Tries to work it here at David Piper's and knows that he has got to try and do anything and everything he can to just calm himself down, give himself the moment. He won't have the chance on this lap, but this group is a powder keg. It is waiting to explode, and they are all turning around, looking at this, going, okay, well, I want this move, I want that move, I want the other move, and they are waiting for that little piece of tinder to add to it, to say, right, we are going to absolutely go all out on this move.
I think if you're Skoman, as long as Camindlin stays about as far back as he is now, you've got a chance. There's another big look down to the inside. We saw Allen pull off that move earlier, but I think he's going to have to try a little bit harder to get underneath Jack Johns at turn 1.
Jack Johns is looking around at this going, oh my goodness gracious, I want to give absolutely everything. This is what two teammates have, and we've known this from the very beginning, the opening round of the season here, Joe. There are no team orders. They are going out there and trying to prove it against each other that they are better than their opponents. Johns, big defensive line, middle of the road. Again, Dylan Allen tries the big lunge move down at the inside. It does not work this time around, but he's showing his hand at the moment to say, I've got moves, what are you going to do about them?
The thing I love is as we're watching both cameras at once, we've already talked about how Dylan looks a little frustrated. Jack Johns, on the other hand, he was smirking. He was having a good time here. This is fun for him, which I guess some drivers, they do love to be able to defend, to lead this race, even if they know they've got all that pressure behind them. I'm getting the sense that the number 4 driver is that sort of driver that he'd rather play the rabbit than the chaser.
And Jack Johns, we know, commentator at times. He's also very much important in terms of what he's done over in the United Arab Emirates out there. He has been a champion in iRacing before, an instructor at the Yas Marina and Dubai Autodome. So he knows what it takes. He knows where to place the car. He knows that the move's there at the inside of Williams, but it's going to be about the exit speed. If you go up on the top side then to try and make it happen, Jack Johns drives it better away than Dylan Allen, and so he coves it off going to the outward curve once again. But now Mehdi El Fati is on the scene, Bernard Skerman is back there, and once again Jack Johns is putting the car in all the right places to say, I ain't letting you go that easy.
That was nearly a very clever move by Allen, but I gotta say, he played that extremely smart, that he did not wind up like Patrick Kessel, because he absolutely chucked it in. But remember what happened to Patrick? He washed out, car was turned, and off he went into the barrier. Dylan, he did not try to get back on the throttle. He let the car try to grip up. It compromised his exit, like you mentioned, but at least he's still racing.
I am looking at the way Jack Johns is driving. He is really slowing it up into the apexes. He is desperately trying to drive it off of the exit to the point where I think he's trying to bottle up this group even further.
Well, if that's what he's trying, he's quite good at it, because that's exactly what's happened, as we still have this group of 5, now just about 6. Chavesh is about half a second off of Ruslan, so yeah, he's nearly there, and we can still see Heasley back at the back of the pack. Oh, as we once again get a move down into turn 1, and they're going to bang doors.
And now it's going to have to be long way around, and Jack Johns going to have to drive this aggressive in. Dylan Allen now is going to get the run off the exit here, and they are going to have to trade to the outward curve through the Sterling Moss S. They're going to have to go. This will be a big defense over from Jack Johns. Dylan Allen going to the outside and sweeping, but he's on the wrong side of the hill. It's a drag race up this one, and the understeer kills the run for Dylan Allen. Mehdi El Fati now will get a sniff, but back into line they go, looking for the hairpin. This is what position and placement means here in the Porsche Esports Super Cup. Allen to the outside of the hairpin. Johns has got to drive it strong off the exit, but Allen's got a better drive now. Inside for the Revolver. At long last he leads.
Woo! That took a number of corners, about half the lap to see the results of that first attempt into turn 1. But credit to him, he did not give up. He thought the next corner ahead, but he goes a little bit wide, and thankfully is able to cover it off as Johns nearly had an opportunity to try to stick it in.
And here's the difference now. Jack Johns, for the first time in this race, Joe, can start being aggressive rather than defensive. And this is a chance for him to really unleash the taps and say, this is what I'm capable of. We know that there are differences in a straight line, that they can use the slipstream to help. But Jack here has got to settle himself up, knowing that the hairpin is going to be his best chance. There's still a third of this race to go. And Dylan Allen, for the first time here in the Porsche Esports Supercup Regional Qualifiers, leads a race outright, and now this is uncharted territory.
I love how after he made the pass, Dylan was still sitting there chatting away on his radio. He's like that person in traffic with road rage, still a mile down the road complaining about the guy that held him up. He's finally ahead. You can focus on what's in front of you now, buddy. You can just get your race done.
Yeah, but it might motivate him. This might be what's driving him to go so quick at the moment. You never know. Jack Johns, you're looking at this one here, thinking, okay, I'm in line, I'm safe at the moment, I'm holding my ground, I'm not losing too much here to Dylan Allen. Skirman here in fourth position is holding this one steady, as well as Shivesh Basu in sixth. We have not seen nary a move from third, fourth and fifth. They've just watched this one and gone, interesting.
Remember, though, they were a little bit involved earlier. El Fati was up to second for a brief while. Skoman was up to third. Now that has seen Dylan Allen do an impressive job scything his way up past each of them, and they still sit exactly where they were before. So will this change things up, or is it going to be as it was all the way to the finish? Khamiddlin down here sitting in fifth. Is he going to start to lose touch now that it is no longer Johns bottling them up?
Well, that's the worry, that because there is no bottleneck in terms of the race lead, Dylan Allen can break away. He's already at 7/10 of a second here. And so the next part is, well, what about the podium? Ruslan Khamiddlin then sitting down here. He's a stunt driver by trade, is Khamiddlin. And so he knows what it takes to put cars in all sorts of different positions out there on the road. And he'll be looking around this one going, well, I don't want any tricks right now, because as we all know, the slogan goes, Joe, tricks are for kids.
And so all of these drivers are going to be up against some practical kids out there with some very young names looking to compete in the Porsche Esports Super Cup as we come down through the hairpin once more. 8 minutes left to go on the clock. Allen's doing a pretty good job, but what was 7/10 has slowed up to about 3/10 now here through this part of the track.
Jack Johns absolutely uncorking a middle sector of dreams at this moment in time. He's not gone from his aspirations of trying to win this one, but he will have to find an overtake here on Dylan Allen and see how much it is going to mean there to go and get that. El Fati taking vital points here in third place with Skoman, Khamiddlin, Bassoon, and then Oliver Heasley. Everyone in this race right now still within 4 seconds of the race lead. That is insane around here.
I'm really impressed with the show this has put on. I mean, we had an incredible amount of excitement down at Adelaide for completely different reasons, I must say, to what we've had here. This all kicked off from that very first lap. If it wasn't for that contact between Allen and Kessel, I don't think we would have had the race that we're seeing right now.
Dylan Allen is the only driver in Sim who has a spotter helping him. He's got Tim Strickland in his ear, trying to give him as much help as he possibly can. Climbing off the exit, you've still got a gap of about half a second here. Don't worry about it into the hairpin. You can take your natural line. Johns is waiting on. So too is Mehdi El Fati. Skirman then sitting waiting in line. They're running out of laps though here, and this is where the pressure just draws infinitesimally stronger, lap after lap after lap, because drivers get desperate because they know they're not going to have opportunities otherwise. El Fati is now starting to sniff.
This is where Strickland will have to earn his money. This is where he's got to light that propane tank underneath Dylan Allen, get him to hurry up so that he's no longer under the pressure from those behind him. As we come up the hill once again, El Fati has his sights on maybe getting back into that second place over Johns. He still does look a tiny bit quicker.
He does. He's got pace, but he's bottled up, and he's been bottled up all race. And here's one of the issues, Joe, when you get bottled up. You suddenly forget what real pace is, because you just have to spend lap after lap staring at the same braking zones. You can't take exactly what you want. You almost get lulled into the same responsibility as the cars in front. You don't really get much of a choice.
No, you're kind of just dealing with the cards you're dealt. But it does look like Skoman suddenly found a little bit pace on this part of the lap. He's a lot closer to that black number 8. But as much as you get opportunities up into Atwood, he's not going to get it this time. He needs to focus coming off the turn on this uphill. Needs so much momentum because it is a pretty big climb here up to what is the top of the circuit.
Absolutely, and you can see the rock face on the left-hand side. It looks like it's been cut out and quarried at various sections. You then get the descent down the hill. Oh, Al-Fati is so narrowed down on the hairpin curve as he tried to find a way by Jack Johns into the revolver again. He carries so much more speed, and I think Jack's realising race lead here with 5 minutes to go, starting to go out the window. I think he's now thinking about protecting second here, and Skirman's going to know that any time. Al-Fati's going to go for a big move. He'll try and look for it. That's a very aggressive run. He's managed to make contact here. Now he's going to have to go around the outside to try and make this one happen, but look at what he's done. He's left the door open for Ruslan Hamidulin at Mike Knight.
You got to be so careful with those moves. When you're on tight quarters in a fight, your attack suddenly has to become a very solid defense, and he left the door open. He's very lucky that Ruslan was not able to get the throttle down coming up out of Hobbs. Otherwise, that would have been a position lost instead of gained.
Well, that opportunity is still there, and they are sat 4:13 and under here in this race. So they are seeing that time evaporate at this moment here, and they're doing 1:30 lap times, which means we're at 3 laps to go here in this one. And suddenly the gaps just stretch out a little bit more. Al-Fati trying to claw back to Jack Johns, back to Dylan Allen. They drive to the Atwood curve, and calm is needed. Bassoon has lost contact at the back. Oliver Heasley has lost contact as well. So it's now down to this group of 5 to decide who wants to firstly A, win, and B, get the podium.
About halfway through this race, I said it was 5 or 4 of them cut between about 1 second. Well, now it's 5 of them at 1.5 seconds. So it's grown by about 50%, but that's still not a whole lot. It has remained incredibly close. If you're Dylan Allen, the job is not done. He has to prevent any sort of mistakes here to the finish himself so that he doesn't give an opportunity to Johns. That's a little wide there from Skoman coming off the corner.
Yeah, Skirman's going to have to be careful about that. He's got to hit his marks. He knows in 4th position he can't afford to make those small mistakes. They keep adding up time and time and time again. They drive out to the final corner, and once more they will take a look over to the right-hand side. How long do we have left in this race? Time flicks over. You got 2:52 left on the clock. 2 laps to go. Dylan Allen holding his ground and doing so at about half a second here. But remember, who's been saving the tyres? I don't think it's been Dylan Allen the way he's been throwing moves about.
Temperature has come down. It's now to about 95 Fahrenheit on the track surface. So at least it's been easing up on them, although it is still pretty warm out there. And with the fighting they've been doing, I don't think anybody has been thinking about tires. It has been all on the track position. That's where the focus has been.
Yeah, it's absolutely been all out here of can you make the move or can you not. They have been resolute to the line. They've been trying to find that opportunity. And the question is, every time we've gone and looked at it, as we're on board with Mehdi Al-Fati here, it's either where is the train going to break or where is the move or the weak link out there. We keep saying, oh, it's Jack Johns out there, but Jack doesn't buckle.
I got to give him a ton of credit for this race. Yes, he lost the lead, but I mean, still running in 2nd place. He started this from 4th, and once again, we get a nice little hello from Mehdi, who reminds Johns that he is still here, and he's going to pick up that spot if he can.
But it's not over and done with yet. He might be looking at 3rd and looking at 2nd here as his best chance, but the race lead is still not over. 1 lap to go here at Okayama. Jack Johns, what do you have for Dylan Allen? Into the 1st corner they go. Line astern still, but now 1 car length is the gap as they exit, heading to Jonathan Williams' corner here at turn number 2. Drive off the exit is key. How far do you want to push it? Perfect line from Dylan Allen, all over the curve, slightly brushing the gravel. Now through the Moss S and into the Atwood curve. This is where Jack Johns needs a run. This is where perfect brakes, perfect I would say transfer is going to be needed, but Dylan Allen right now is driving away with it and is going to need a big lunge at the hairpin now to start giving everything you want, and then some. Closing in with the slipstream, they stay line astern, unable to offer anything. Everyone equal to everyone else. At the hairpin, there's nothing. Drive off the exit, still 3.5 tenths of a second here. A middle in off the back of the group now, and then there were 4 looking to try and go out there for it through now Piper's corner. They'll have Redmond coming up next and Hobbs, and now suddenly Dylan Allen has a gap, and he knows that he's just got to hit his mark. And El Fati into the back of Jack Johns, looking now for a chance, covers a big line on the inside. Skirman tries to go around the outside. He's not going to find it. They're all letting him run away at the front of this field with just Mike Knight. And now the final corner to go for Dylan Allen. It's Okayama Daisuke as he goes through. Dylan Allen wins a worldie. Look at the smile on his face here at Okayama.
A little bit of a spin at the back for one of the drivers. That may have been Heasley, but John still manages that second place. El Fati in third. Oh my goodness. It looks like 0.6 of a second between Johns, Fati, and Schoolman.
What a race, and what a Mobil 1 winning moment.
So, how do they top this when they go off to the last round at Phillip Island? It has been a steady ramp up. We enjoyed the race down to Adelaide. We enjoyed the heck out of this race. What have they got in store for us in Australia?
My goodness, I don't know. How do you top that? That was a lovely race there, an instant classic. But for him, Dylan Allen, he knows that is the mark of what he's had to do to get to that level, to get to the top. He's the one who breaks the streak of Patrick Kessel, and he knew he needed that one. And here's the way why that he was able to get this done. Let's take a look, though, at your Trilux move of the race, because this all sets itself up on the fact that moves have to be made. You can see big lunge down to the inside on Werner Skoman. Boom. Looks to try and get that done and looks for the hold on the exit. It's not quite there, but he then chucks it back at the revolver and says, I might have gone too deep at one corner, but the next 3 are my advantage.
And that's the neat thing about this end of the lap, that yes, it's usually single file, but once a fight does start, then it seems to never end through that portion because it's just constant back and forth. And that gave us one of the best fights all race.
Absolutely incredible stuff between 2 of the hardest battlers here in the MEA region. And there's more to it, because look at that. There's the chuck back on the inside, and then he just had to confirm it. Lovely stuff there, and that just tells you all you need to know. And there was more and more and more and more from Dylan Allen. This one for the lead. The long way around the hairpin, Joe, to get it done inside of the revolver. My race lead.
He used that banking perfectly. I've seen a lot of drivers do that over the years. It allows you to stay side by side, get the inside into revolver, and there you go.
Well, 30 minutes and 8 seconds of absolute all-out racing. Dylan Allen gets it done from second on the grid. He fell back to 4th. He had to fight his way back. That is a marauding drive. Jack Johns, ever so unlucky in second. He had all of the hallmarks of a great defensive performance today, with Mehdi El Fati taking crucial points in third, ahead of Werner Skoman and Ruslan Khemidlin. Your top 6 all finish within, 3.3 seconds, with Shivesh Bassoon in 6th. The spin out the final corner for Oliver Heasley confirms him in 7th. And the big shock today, Patrick Kessel out on the opening lap, turned with Dylan Allen. There will be conversation about that, I am sure, but my oh my, what a day at the office we have had here today, Joe, and it goes to show you it's not about the numbers, it's about the fight and the heart that everybody has, as you're stood by with your race winner, Dylan Allen.
I am indeed. Let's start at the beginning of this tale, because coming lap 1 into turn 2, you and Patrick come together. That kicked this whole thing off. Tell us your perspective.
I'm not going to say anything on live stream until I've actually properly had time to go through the footage, as I don't want to say anything incorrect. But from my point of view, I got a better jump off the line. I got a nose ahead into turn 1, and I kind of took it through there into the apex of turn 2. From where I was sitting, he outbraked himself and kind of came straight across my nose. But yeah, I think after that, I just kind of had to put the race behind me, and we moved on from it.
Well, speaking of being able to handle all that is happening in the race, we did see it looked like frustration from our end from you as you tried to work your way back up to the front. Was it getting under your skin trying to get back to the lead?
A little bit, yes. Jack is notoriously very, very good at defending. Whether we want him to defend it hard or not, he defended quite well. Some backed me up a little bit into Medi, not purposefully, but it really was putting the pressure on me. I think I maybe let my emotions get the best of me a little bit at times, but yeah, I think good race to Jack as well. He was really good at defending there, and I'm lucky to have got past him when I did.
Well, that makes me wonder, going into the Porsche Esports Supercup, was this a really good training moment for you on the fierce fighting you're expecting at the top level?
Definitely. We haven't had that much wheel-to-wheel racing, or at least I haven't, from where I've been at the front for the last 2 rounds. Round 1 was the only time I think I actually properly made an overtake. So this was really good practice for me. And yeah, I hope this can continue for Phillip Island.
Well, again, great job out there for the win, and hopefully we'll get to see you down under.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Dylan Allen, your winner. And then, of course, we have Jack Johns, who was in that fight with him. But, Jack, what do you ask for Christmas and your birthday? Because all your presents came at once.
Yeah, well, just not really sure what happened at the start now. It felt like a long time ago after having to defend for 30 minutes straight. But, yeah, just parted the sea by the looks of it. Obviously, Patrick and Dylan had it coming together. I think Medi was already looking around the outside, so I kind of just slotted in. And then, yeah, the goal was to try and hold on to at least a podium, which we managed to do.
Talk about that defense. We just heard Dylan say that you're known for a good defense. I have been saying that this track lends itself to being difficult to overtake. Do you feel like that all came together for you holding on as long as you did?
Yeah, for sure. I knew once I was in first, like, let's not mistake it. Medi has got a good handful of pace on me this time around, but like you said, because of the circuit, similar to Adelaide, I was fairly confident I can hold on for the full 30 minutes. To be honest, Adelaide, I made a mistake. I missed my breaking point on one of the defenses, but this one, I was adamant that I wasn't going to do it again. When Dylan came past, it was a little bit of conflict in terms of wanting to fight him, but also not. I kind of saw Medi had a run, so I wanted to give Dylan the toe, and then at the same time, it put me on the wrong line, which gave Dylan a nice run around the outside of the hairpin. But yeah, to hold on within his toe for a P2, I don't think I can ask for more than that, to be honest.
Well, again, phenomenal job out there. You really wowed us, and great job taking the opportunity when it was offered.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
That was Jack Johns finishing P2. And then, of course, Mehdi El-Fati in behind them. Mehdi, you were watching those two fight for quite a while. Were there any moments you feel like you could have taken better advantage of to get past one of them?
Hold on a minute.
Okay, we are live for what it's worth. Mehdi, do you have a copy? No, not sure that Mehdi necessarily has us here. So we'll maybe chat with him on another day. But Jake, certainly some interesting perspectives on that fight and that race.
Absolutely, and look at what it does here for everybody else. They will be walking into this thinking, okay, how am I going to get exactly what I want out of it here? El Fati now moves into the bubble. Oliver Heasley is on the wrong side of it now, and he's going to need 7 points over Shivesh Bassoon at the championship finale. Werner Skoman then to fourth, Johns to third, Allen to second. And Patrick Kessel, with that margin, still holds himself in that first place. Joe, I believe you're going to have one more go.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get Mehdi with us. Mehdi, do you have a copy?
Yes, can you copy me?
Yes, I got you loud and clear. Talk to us about being behind those fights for the lead between Jack and Dylan. Was there any moments you feel like you could have pushed a little bit harder to try and capitalize on some of that?
Yeah, I did at some point try to make a move on the hairpin, but I braked way too late. But ultimately, what I wanted to do was just to secure points for final top 8. There was no point taking many more risks. Ultimately, whether it would have been a P1, P2, P3, what mattered is that I didn't crash myself out like I did last round. And, well, that's a good point haul for today, so I'm pretty happy.
You talked about really focused on the big picture on this one. That kind of goes out the window when we get to Phillip Island, and we've seen some amazing racing. Are you expecting another exciting show, or are you guys going to be very easy and laid back when we get there?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, for the most part, for the top contenders, their spot in PESC is pretty much guaranteed. Depends. The smart play would be not to take absolutely horrendous risks, but well, you never know what can happen. Ultimately, if I can still grab a podium in Phillip Island, that would still be lovely.
Well, thanks for chatting with us. Glad we got to ask you some questions, and best of luck at the finale.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Mehdi El Fati coming home in third. Jake?
Absolutely, and he knows that this is where they head to next. They are over to Cowes, Victoria, and to the Phillip Island circuit, known as a former Honda motorbike test track. This is now going to be a case of who can stand on song in the Porsche Esports Supercup region and say, these cliffs know that it's mine to have. It is one of the most high-speed thrill rides out there, and Slipstream is the aim of the game. Catch that with us August 22nd, 8 p.m. GMT, 4 p.m. Eastern. And it's going to be absolutely awesome. We've still got Europe to try and sort out with the Hockenheim Ring and the Red Bull Ring. Asia Pacific will have to come to Okayama next week with Phillip Island in mind on that. You can join Arjuna and the gang for all of that, which will be coming up forward. But Americas and the MEA region, well, they know they've only got one more round left in the back pocket. And I tell you what here, Joe, I am so excited for what comes up for what will be a championship Saturday.
It's going to be fun to see. Some drivers have the pressure taken off. Some of them have it everything to do. And I think that's going to make a big difference, and to see the approach that they take coming to the finale.
Well, it all happened, didn't it? For Patrick Kessel, he realises that's one of my lives gone. I can't do anything about that. A very tough day at the office for many. Jack Johns put him through the ringer with a defensive masterclass. But you got to jump through the order. You got to find your passes out there. And quite simply put here, it's Okayama Daisuke for Dylan Allen. He loves this place. His win here in the Porsche Esports Supercup Regionals.